Chug. Good morning. How is everybody? All two of you. That's okay. Notifications have not gone out yet, so that's fine. I can always tell when they do because they'll pop up on the phone. And it's Friday. A lot of things going on in the world, a lot of things going on. There's the notifications. There we go. So, a lot of stuff. But, anyways, we'll let some people get in here. Let the notification goes out. This is not just going to be a low board deal. We'll talk about rates and stuff, but I want to kind of go over some mental things that a lot of people are struggling with right now, and including myself. I am not immune to this, and I deal with this every day, just as probably you guys do. So let's get this up here, and then we'll talk. Get some people in here. We'll do our shout outs as usual. And let's put this up here. Good morning. I am in a pretty decent mood. I've been trying this new thing where instead of getting on Facebook or the Twitters in the morning, I'm trying to do more inspirational stuff. Like read a good book, or read a chapter or two, or watch a podcast, something like Order of Man. Really like Ryan Michler stuff. I bought his new book, and it's really kind of been inspiring to me because there's two things that I've learned is that motivation is awesome. To have some morning motivation is great. Excuse me. But discipline. What do they teach you in the military? Discipline. And I think that a lot of people were able to run for the last, year without discipline, without paying attention to their costs, without paying attention to the money out, because money coming in was really good. And it kind of sucks when you're like one of the most disciplined people, and you still struggle, but it's through that struggle that makes people a winner, makes you successful. And I kind of want to go over that. Let's do some shout outs here. You guys are now starting to trickle in. And I appreciate every single one of you. Make sure you click like and subscribe. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. I appreciate everybody that supports the channel, whether it be mentally, physically, or financially. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody that does good things for other people. I mean, we gotta kind of stand together and help support each other, empower people, because empower yourself. Though we're always talking about empowering others. You need to empower yourself. Get out of your own way, and that's part of killing the ego. So, anyways, let's do some shout outs, and I'll get more into that. Old school, new school. I always thought your name is pretty interesting. I've always felt that I was a good balance of old school mentality, but still embrace the new school as far as technology, GPS, cell phone, email. There's a lot. I mean, 100% of my business is relied on the power of the internet. And if you're a trucking business, it is for you too. Things that used to take days and weeks now takes minutes. And think about that. If you can email 5 brokers at once, that's a lot more efficient than, going down to the truck stop, looking at the dial a truck video screen on the TV and standing in line at the payphone trying to call the broker on a load. So we've come pretty far from those days. Now, I didn't drive in those days, but I was a passenger. My father was an owner operator in the 80s, and I learned from a lot of his mistakes as well. So, anyways, that's what your name kind of triggers, a lot of a string of thoughts. Running Aces, good morning. How's it going? Chucky, what's up, man? How are you doing? Big Rig CEO, yeah, bitches. He loves that. He loves that. Don Schonger, what's up? Max Force, post trip, Spectre, good to see you in here. Scott SRO Logistics, let's get this party started. There you go. Carlos, good morning. Daryl Worth, I'm late again. No, you're not late, man. You can afford to be late here. Now it doesn't take me 20 minutes to get into my subject, but you got a couple of minutes. That's why I do the minute and a half long intro is perfect because it allows people to come in. It allows the notifications to go out, and I don't have to repeat myself. So, Michael Smith, what's up? Good morning. Desert Okie Pam, good morning. How's your truck doing? Any progress on it? Discipline kept me from chasing the money and taking care of my core brokers. Now they are taking care of me. There you go. That's a great, great, great example. And Scott is doing pretty good, man. I've watched him build a 1 truck carrier to 5, and and he's very rarely uses a low board, which ultimately is the goal. To be honest with you, I mean, yeah, 48065 for the 123 low board. If you want to use my code, you'll get a pretty good deal on it. But eventually, you may not even need it. It's there in the background. The price makes it right for there to be in the background when you do need it, because you can't go a whole month without a low board if you're running, even if you're running for 2 or 3 brokers. And you want to have the tools to kind of keep 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 your finger on the pulse of what's going on. I keep saying I need to slow down and only work 5 days a week, 50 today. I need to change my goals. Yeah, Don, I mean, that's a part of self-evaluating, and that's what I'm going to kind of get into is with the ego thing. Shannon, good morning. Hit the like button, folks. Thank you. Oser, good morning. Good to see you too. Hope you're doing well. Hope that truck is running good. Tyrannus, what's up? Gary Compton, what's up? Morning, sir, from Chile, Iowa. You are always the cold runner. I remember back in the polar vortex, you were up there in the Dakotas making the money. So, cheers to you, sir. It's snowing up in Minnesota and Wisconsin today. Yes, I said the 4-letter word, snow. So, if your strategy is to run from Wisconsin to, say, I don't know, Oklahoma and back, well, that either means you got to drive in snow or you got to change your strategy. Now, fortunately, the majority of the other people will change their strategy and make the rates in the South get worse than they already are. And one of the things, so if you embrace the snow and can, mitigate some of your risk and liability, you can make some great money in the wintertime by doing the things that no one else wants to do. However, there's more risk. There's more risk of accidents or more risk of interstate shutdowns. Like Pennsylvania sees a snowflake, like, shut it down, So there's that element as well. So you can either grab the big money with the potential to sit, or you can stay south and work for less money, but you'll always be moving. So So volumes are going to be interesting um, come November, December, because I'm seeing some things that don't sit well with me. But there's no reason to panic. I'm not panicking. It's frustrating. Yesterday was a frustrating day in the dispatch world because I'm seeing in some areas high volumes does not equal good rates. It just means that I can make more phone calls and they're not budging on a lot of stuff. And so today is going to be brutal. I can feel it. It's going to be brutal. For me, may not be for you because maybe you don't even look at a low board today. So if that's your deal, then good on you. Just like Elsa, the cold never bothered me anyway, but my old truck doesn't like the sub-zero temps anymore. Yeah, I mean that's look, I that's my only issue with I can deal with snow, but it's when you got the 40 below zero, 30 below, 20 below zero, this awesome brand new luxurious new trucks, they do not like that. And so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how electric trucks do in that kind of cold. I don't see the Pepsi fleet going electric there up in South Dakota for a while. And Inspector's got the perfect truck for the cold because that thing just loves to idle, as he said yesterday in best speed. And that I was thinking about that one time. It must be great to be able to idle the truck and not have to worry about it screwing up the entire DPF system. Because there are times when you have to idle because it's just too cold. You don't want your fuel filters to freeze up. You don't want your DEF to freeze up. APU can only do so much. My APU has done well, but it's also failed me on the real sub-zero temperatures. So any APU will do that. Jeremy, good morning. Scott's talking to Gary. My wife said the ground is white. We live 30 minutes north of Menominee, Wisconsin. Yeah, I got a flatbed truck up there who's just started his flatbed adventure, and that's going to be like the third load he's dealing with up in that weather. So morning, James. Checking for fun. What's up? Not bad. Scott just had to pour a big amount into the DPS system, but this old girl's back to life now. Still in the shop. New turbo, didn't fix it. Tried several things, reflashed an ECU today. Receiver pushed my delivery out to next Tuesday. Yeah, I forgot you're under a load. And you're probably in an area where not a whole lot of your coworkers are at to be able to possibly repower. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure your fuel mileage is crap, but but that's the trade-off, right? You can spend the money now or have that $10,000 DPF breakdown later, right? Logistically disturbed, what's up, brother? From down under, from another mother? That's a lot of rhyming, especially this time of morning. What's up? Hope you're doing okay, man. Used to be diesel engines were designed to idle for days. Unloading now? Yeah, I guess you are. How long is it going to take, you think, Mallory? Because if you want, I can end this feed soon. And I'm not seeing anything that's going to work for what it's going to be like last week, I think. So, anyways, let's look at a couple of things before I start. One of the luxuries I have here at Like Trucking as the safety manager is I can see on the ELD where everybody's at. Sam Sarah's got a really great map for looking at everybody. And what I've noticed is that we have some really good contractors that are, and not every one of them watches me. There's a couple that don't even know Jeff's YouTube channel exists. He came over by word of mouth. And one of the things that, let me put this here. Let's do reefers inspectors in here. Now, that's your reefer states. Now, one thing I'm gonna put this on van for a second. I'll put it on van and reefer. We'll do that. what I've noticed is that where you see green and yellow here, that's where all of our trucks at. There might be one straggler out here. We've got cool trucking that lives out west, and we got another truck that lives out in Arizona. But for the most part, they all run in this area. And so sometimes I'll look at 123 low board and look at where all the green is and see, and you could put our Samsara map next to it, which I can't do that on screen because I don't need that information out there. But it's almost mirrored, like all the dots are in that same those same sections. And so after a while, when you're in a spot market, you kind of know, you just know, right? And even the two people that live out west, they'll do a big paying load coming east because they have relationships with brokers that can always get them east, and for a good rate, sometimes a phenomenal rate. And then they bounce around just like the rest. Then when it's time to go home, they grab that one big paying load going home. We have a couple of trucks that live in Florida, and they're doing well. And it's interesting to see, every now and then we'll see one go down to Miami, but they know the risk. They know the potential of deadheading out going down there. So, um, Tyrana says, used to be diesel engines were designed idle for days. I remember watching a documentary of I think it was a mine, one of those mines up in Alaska, and there's a guy that was specific job was to keep all the equipment running. Like he would monitor all the trucks idling when the drivers were off and make sure that a truck didn't shut down. Make sure they were full of fuel, whole 9 yards. Unloading now, about an hour. Okay. Um, if you want to hang out there, I know there's truck parking there. If you want to hang out there for a little bit, Mallory, we'll get to work. I won't put the link out to make this a long live feed because Fridays can tend to do that. So very small lanes are where I'm at, right? And look, that's the strategy. Big Rig CEO talked about running the same lane over and over, and then the minute he goes out, all hell breaks loose. And because and I asked him, I said, "Why'd you do that?" He's like, "Well, I was sick of seeing the same things." I'm like, "Man, if someone paid me $1,000 a day to go from, say, Oklahoma City to Joplin, Missouri, that's a very pretty much boring trip. There's not even a big city you got to drive through other than Oklahoma City. I would do that. I would know every pothole, nook and cranny, every mile marker, every tree. I would embrace that. And that's just my nature. I'm the same guy that does the same thing over and over and over. Because I grew up with repetitive jobs. When I was a BMX freestyler, I practiced the same trick over and over and over until I got it right. When I worked at a factory, I did the same job over and over. It wasn't until I became a custom welder, or a welder for a custom shop, I guess you'd say, that there were some differences. But Monday you might do these little brackets that are like this big, and then Tuesday you might do these big huge boxes, and then Wednesday, but you're still doing a repetitive action. And repetitive actions help the creative side of me when it comes to music and lyrics and doing the podcast style kind of stuff. For a couple of weeks I was running Rogers to Sedalia. Love those runs. No major cities, no scales, just good scenery, a little bit of 2-lane action even going on. So it was nice. That's the kind of person I am. So, any tips on low board posting that shows, example, Dallas to Houston, and posted rate is sufficient, but in notes it said round trip rate doesn't justify for it? I avoid round trips. Well, okay, so that's not a realistic answer. I apologize. When you see a round trip, like let's say, so let's say you're looking at the rate of, let's say, Dallas to Houston. So what you want to do, and how that'll be posted is Dallas to Dallas, right? So if you put Dallas to Houston, look at the average rate per mile, and then do the same thing on the way back. And you look at both those numbers, and then, but you also want your own number. You don't want to, like, well, average rate is this, I need this. You want to have your own number, but you also want to make sure you're not getting screwed. And so whenever there's a round trip freight on the low board, it's easy to not see, um, that they're trying to hide the rate. And I think that's one of the strategies when a broker doesn't put the right cities in, is it skews that 30-day. Now it's only a few cents a mile usually that does that. And I look at overall rate. I don't really look at the rate per mile. First, I mean, I'll look at it. Don't get me wrong. I believe that knowing both numbers is important, but you got to be careful on those round trips. And so you add the total miles, you add what your needs are, think of the fuel cost. But I've made good money on round trips. There's a broker that I have it up in Ohio that I literally took a load from Ohio to Michigan and back. It was a round trip. Now, the origin wasn't the same destination, but it was the same town. And it was basically empty auto racks going up and then full auto racks coming down of parts. And so that could be a good strategy. Dunnage. One time I took a load out to California in my truck. I was a company guy at the time, but I took dunnage to this place that supplies the plastic big mustard bottles for French's here in Springfield. So guess what I got back? A 2,000-pound load of plastic bottles that came right back. Didn't even have to switch docks. So, I mean, there's round trips can be beneficial, but you have to get your pay for them. Don't fall for this. Um, you know, doing it for 20% less and it's actually double the miles. Don't fall for that. And some brokers will try that because they want you to be dumb and not understanding of the industry. Pigtail, what's up? I've been in my lane so long it feels like autopilot. And look, it allows your mind to work on other things. It allows consistency. You can plan things better when it comes to doing the same thing over and over. I was once criticized by another YouTuber about all I do is go to Springfield to Columbus and back in my own truck. Well, it worked. Doesn't mean I don't know how to utilize the low board and utilize other lanes. I may not be as effective if I'm doing like Washington to California back because I don't know the area, because I don't drive it a whole lot. But the areas I do know, I've surprised my drivers a few times on the knowledge that I have because of the 8 years of owner operator experience in the 15 years that I've been driving. And but I also know my limits. I don't have I've killed my ego, or I've at least wounded it pretty good, and said, you know what, there's a lot of things I still need to learn. And that's part of what I wanted to talk about today, is that you may know something, you may have figured out something, but don't let your ego get in the way of yourself to learn more. As truck drivers, we are our own worst enemy. That's why we have all the regulations. That's why we have the struggles that we do. So, that's why you have the porta potty at the shipper receiver instead of the nice bathroom inside. That's why you're not allowed to park at Walmarts. We did that. As drivers, we did that. That's why cities, little small towns will fight tooth and nail to keep a pilot from coming into the town, or to keep a Flying J or TA out, because they don't want the traffic, they don't want the mess, they don't want the damage that the trucks do to the road. We are our own worst enemy, and your ego is the fuel of that. Because if you think, well, I'm too good to do that, $1.89 a mile. And then you sit for 3 days because you're in a $1.89 a mile market. So get rid of your ego, especially avoid, things with the word ego in it. Yeah, I said it. Cool trucking. Good morning. Carrier called yesterday to see if I could rescue another driver in the area of my delivery. So apparently 2 of us are down. Wow. Where are you at, Pam? Maybe our network can help you out because I know the owner of your company. It's like I told another hunter recently, you can't hunt where I do. That's me, brother, going in circles. Whitestown, Indiana, back, KC, 5 trips a week, go home. Yeah, and I imagine, Disturbed, that's it's annoying and boring to you, but man, you've got consistent money where a lot of people are struggling. Thanks for the help yesterday. Road less travel, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. I don't I did it create results? That's the more important thing. I know that when I bought my truck, when I bought my Kenworth, I bought a 7-day deal just to get it to Schneider's yard, and then we transfer everything over. Then the same thing with when I went to Like Trucking. Still in business, says Pigtail. Boring business versus risky rewards, right? Let go my let go my ego. Let go my ego. Yeah, I mean, look, it's look, as a guy that played in a band as the lead singer, it's easy to get drunk with power. It's easy to get drunk with success. It's easy to have 400 people looking at you, screaming, singing along with lyrics that you wrote on a napkin at Waffle House, and that makes you like, yeah, I know, I'm awesome. And then somebody comes by and then you play out of town, you play out of town, and you're just another dumb opening band, right? And there's a lot of, so when the YouTube live platform was created, a lot of people suffered the same kind of ego boost. Oh man, I got 100 people in my live feed. This is awesome. Wow. Not realizing that maybe the 100 people don't like you and they're just hate watching you, or maybe they want to manipulate your emotions into something else, and that's the whole act of negotiating in the spot market is your emotions are being triggered. My emotions were definitely triggered yesterday when I'm looking at low rates in a high volume area and they're not budging. In fact, one broker actually said, because one of my tactics is like, okay, well, if anything changes, call me because volumes are really good right now. He goes, yeah, we'll sell it for 1,100. You call me back later. Thank you very much. Click. Well, you just guaranteed the fact that I will never call you back later on principle. But that's ego talking, right? And the only reason why I had the ability to sit there and not pass on, not do that load, even though the guy was an a-hole, was because I wasn't desperate to move, and there were still a lot of other loads. I will take a load for $100 less versus giving that guy a win. And that's the love, and it's going to get nastier. That's the thing. As rates drop, truckers are going to get mad. Dispatchers and dispatch services are going to get mad. And you're going to see almost 90% email only or use the app only stuff because they're tired of us being angry at them. Just like there were a lot of brokers that were angry when you called them when the rates were in our favor. It's part of the pendulum swing. And sometimes you have to put your ego aside and just, stand your ground, but don't be insulted. Don't sit there and like, I can't believe you just insulted me with the $1.35. If I see $1.35, or if you offer me $1.35 and you're serious, I just say, well, have a nice day. Thank you very much. Because I'm not in a position to be desperate to move. And if I am in a position that I'm desperate to move, I will go to my go-to brokers first, where I have a relationship, where I don't have to do a desperate load. We got 10-day for 236, not bad at all. Good deal, man. Good deal. I sent you a link of the Asia My Show and PC Regs. That's cool. I will definitely check it out. I had another person send me that too. Salt Lake City going to Reno, Nevada. Hopefully getting out of the shop today. Well, I hope so. Your ego is not your amigo. Look at LVC. Forced me to rhyme again early in the morning. Oh, the driver was in Nevada. So I mean, look, I'm seeing some trends that don't sit well with me, but there's no reason to panic. Sometimes you're just going to take a loss. Sometimes so if you need $500 a day and you're getting $450 a day, that's better than losing $500 a day. So you're only losing $50 a day, but you're still moving. Keep swimming. And that's the that's the key. And the people that don't know their numbers or don't know how to control their emotions or their egos, they're going to lose. So the better well equipped you are, the odds of your survival is better. If and Pigtail and I were talking about this. If you own a restaurant and you know that 80% is likely to fail, then you have to do your homework. It was Big Rick CEO and I were talking about that. You have to do your homework to make sure that you aren't one of those 80%. Well, say, so the odds are against me. So what can I do different? What can I do that the rest of the herd is not doing? Everybody brags about, ego says, I'm the lone wolf. I'm the wolf in sheep's clothing watching over the flock. But you still have to follow the flock. So now you're isolated. We take pride in the fact that we're different, but you're not. You're still going with the herd mindset. And so if you have 100 people in a building and the building starts to burn, the ones that don't panic, that already looked at where the exits are at, and were able to scan the room to see who's going to take them down, you're going to make it out, or your odds of making it out are better. So one to stand, if you're and look at the failure rate of lease purchase. Look at the failure rate of buying a truck. You have people that went out of business last year when the rates were really good. Think about that. If someone goes out of business when everything was $3 a mile or $4 a mile, that's not the rate's fault. That's not the industry's fault. That's not the it's nobody's fault but your own. But yet we're going to blame the dealerships. We're going to blame the truck. We're going to blame the broker that I had. We're going to blame the insurance quote. mean, one of the reasons why I never got my own authority was so far was because insurance. I couldn't quite figure out how to lower the risk of insurance. Does that make me kind of a person who's afraid? A little bit. But I do know a lot of carriers that their second year quote was disabling. But I also know the people that their second year quote was a lot lower. And those are the people I follow. 21 thumbs up, get 20 more. Thank you. I would appreciate that. Charlotte, North Carolina, Oakland, Kentucky, $3 a mile, pulling power only contract freight, though. There you go. Contract freight gets a lot of flack when times are good. But then everybody's scrambling to find that when times are bad. And my take on it is try to create consistency where it's kind of like you got to try to create consistency so it's both good and bad. You can handle both. And blanket statements are horrible in our industry, because what works for the right way to truck may not work for pigtail. What pigtail does may not work for Desert Okie Pam. What cool trucking does may not work for Jeremy Rice. What this trucking life does and what road less travel does is probably different. Look at the truck stop. The truck next to you, their platform is completely different than yours. And so there's no blanket statements other than creating the correct mindset. Disable the ego, create consistency. And, I don't have the option. I mean, I have the option to do contract freight, but those opportunities don't really approach me, and I have not approached them. I have one truck that found a steady gig like that. Still like trucking, doing power only. And so I understand what my limitations are. I understand what I'm dealing with. I went into the spot market knowing full well how volatile it really is, because leaving the security blanket of the contract Schneider freight, it was a big jump, and I don't think I would have done it for just anybody. And I didn't do it to chase the money. That was the thing. I was not one of these gold rush mindset people, and that's exactly what we have. If you look at the old gold rush, how many people died on the trails? How many people died of starvation because they couldn't get over the mountain, like Donner Pass? How many people went to California with gold in their eyes, thinking that they were going to get rich, and they didn't. All they found was hardship and dismay. Now, if the internet existed back then, I don't think the gold rush wouldn't have been as bad. And so when the spot market dropped, came back up, tenfold after 2020, not only did he have a bunch of people buying trucks, but the dealerships took advantage of that. The banks took advantage of that. The SBA took advantage of that. You have people that started courses on how to be a broker, or how to be a dispatch service, or how to get your own authority. They made money off you wanting to make more money. Hey, you know how to get rich? Buy my book. I'll tell you how to get rich. So that also comes with the territory, which goes back to kill your ego and just kill your ego. Restaurant saturation, all Mexican, open, Italian, be different. Right. and do the things that the successful restaurants are doing. I should be getting out of shop today myself. Are you still in the shop, Shannon? Holy cow! No wonder you've been quiet. I hope my second. I hope my second your rate is quite a bit lower. LOL. My friend and her husband just got their Class A, and the company they work for talked them into a lease, and they have no experience. Oh, that hurts my brain. That hurts my brain. That is someone being taken advantage of. You just literally handed the keys to the restaurant to the guy flipping burgers in the back. That's literally what they just did. I've got so many things I want to say, but I got to calm myself down. That triggers me a little bit. Hopefully, this is their this could be their saving grace, Jeremy, and you can tell them I said this if they even care. If they surround themselves with the people that are successful in what they're doing, they'll have a fighting chance. But if they don't, if they have an ego and they think that they can do it better than anybody else, they don't stand a chance. Simple as that. People can suppress their anger only for so long. Hard times push people to take desperate measures. Just wait and see. I agree with you. Straight up, if I can't maintain an average including fuel of 240 minimum, I have to throw in the whole towel. I don't know what to say to that, Shannon. I really don't. The only people who got rich in the gold rush was the merchant selling picks and shovels. SST, you are absolutely correct. Because the reason why people are going out is because they overextended themselves. They overextended their credit. They overextended their abilities, not knowing that the market was going to drop because of lack of experience or a false confidence that ego creates. Big Houston, Big Houston was in Springfield. Didn't even say hi. I swear. Put this big Facebook post that he's in Springfield, yet never called me. Can't trust flatbedders. Shannon, they hired them, and 3 days later, they signed the lease, give them the keys, to let them hit the road. Absolutely insane. Prayers for them. Hope they're being dispatched on their company contract rate. Yeah, that might be a saving grace as well. But here's the thing, though, and Jeremy confirms that they are. Here's the deal. So what they've managed to do, what that company has managed to do, is they managed to put all the cost on two people that are learning the business so they don't have those costs and to run their freight that they have. If I could buy 3 trucks and put people in them and have them pay the entire bill, that's a great business model. It is for me. I mean, it's essentially what rental property is. Hey, you're making the payment for me. And hopefully their contract freight allows a profit margin. I mean, it does for them now since they took the look. If you look at your numbers, people, if you didn't have a truck and trailer payment but made the same numbers you are now, man. And that's essentially, imagine having a full maintenance lease, but you didn't have to make the truck payment. That's essentially what this company has done to this couple. Yeah. You can be a big bad owner operator or lease operator and make way more money And oh, by the way, you got to pay for fuel and tolls and the truck payment and trailer payment and maintenance. That thing goes, it's like the list goes on. And if you have a lease purchase with no safety net, other than the escrow they take out, that's a problem too. I've talked about that with somebody recently. Pale Rider's truck goes down. Central Hauling will pay for the repair. They will not leave him high and dry. And then he just has to pay them back, which they're happy to do because it keeps them there longer. But he also has a safety net of not worrying about taking 20 grand out of his bank account just to keep the truck running. So there is a purpose to lease, but only if it's got a safety net. And the way these new trucks are, as Pam has demonstrated, you need a safety net at times. For her, it's the warranty. For Pale Rider, it's the company. By the way, Pale Rider usually goes live Friday nights, 8 o'clock. Make sure you check it out, Pale Rider TV. Edgewood, good morning. Big guy, are you calling me fat? Huh? Carlos, facts. Thank you. Don't worry, I'm focusing on per day rate, and I have to work really hard to keep short runs as much as possible. Shannon, where I worry about that, though, is the short runs are kind of stupid right now, especially in the area that I know you're at. That's what I've been struggling with for 2 days. That's why I've been struggling in this area for myself. I keep telling myself I'm going to run some loads. Yeah, $400 for a load that used to pay me $1,000. That's tough. That's tough for me to stomach. My ego says don't do that. So I have to tell my ego to shut up. It's like, well, we can do it for less. It's okay. I've been there before. We did it in 2020. But then fuel raises his hand and goes, you ain't make no money. So I don't do them. So, I mean, and that's having the gift of discernment is especially important right now. They went to one of those 3-week driving schools. I did I think it was a month, maybe it was 3 weeks. I can't remember. Maybe the wife can say, but it was 3 weeks. It was about $3,000. Paid for it with the credit card. Went to a separate school that had nothing to do with the carrier. That's how I got my CDL, and I'm still friends with one of my CDL instructors today. Great guy. Hey, Steve, how do you feel about the walkaway leases, and what is the catch? There's always a catch. There has to be a catch, or else people wouldn't be motivated to do them. So it just depends on the platform. A walkaway lease definitely lowers your risk. It's definitely good risk mitigation, but if you're dispatched, you're basically just a 1099 paying the bills. Walkaway lease, if you have one, should be full maintenance, and you should be able to control what freight you're moving. But you have to read the fine print, because I don't think there is such a thing as a true walkaway lease. If there is, please educate me. I would love to know. That way, the next time I don't say a blanket statement, I go, well, there's a couple of good examples of walkaway lease, blah, 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 blah. I hate talking about things that I know nothing about. And so I don't want to look like a fool. I mean, more than I already do. It's crazy how it switched, right? It's the beard that makes you a big man. Oh, okay. Well, John Houston, man, he's catching up to me. The Springfield Caves was full. You were in the caves? I think I know where you were at then. Oh, sir, most van runs are about the same. money per mile, so you may need to increase your length of haul on loads to increase revenue, Shannon. Highway miles always easier on engines and constant stop and go. That is absolutely correct, Oser. If you're limited by miles or limited by location, you are hurting right now. Because if you have set up a platform where you're out only 5 days a week, your rate per day has gone down, and so you have to basically just increase your days. That way, if you're budgeted on 20 days a month, now you're at 25 days a month, and that's working every other weekend. Or instead of a 500-mile radius, do a 1,000-mile radius, or instead of a 1,000-mile radius, do a 1,500-mile radius. But that usually puts you in a dead area. So 1,000-mile radius sweet spot is what everybody should be looking for. That's what the big carriers do. How many of you Schneider ICs saw that load that goes from upstate New York to Seattle, Washington? How many of those did you see on the low board? Maybe one or two in a year? Because they don't specialize in that. There's a reason for that. And those are the guys that absorbed all your short haul freight. A lot of the short haul freight that I had around here was absorbed by Wilson Transport. It was also absorbed by Prime. It was also absorbed by Schneider. It was also absorbed by some of these 10, 12 truck companies that are based here in Springfield. Unfortunately, warranty doesn't cover hotel, food, and loss of income and on the road breakdown. Yep. I'm sure I'm the minority, but I don't use day rate at all in OTR trucking. Profit margins weekly and monthly is my concern. You can have a terrible day rate run that you pass on and lose a huge payday. There's got to be a balance, Pate Truck, and I agree with that to a certain extent. There's got to be a balance. For every, so look, it doesn't matter if you measure it by the mile, by the day, by the week, by the month, by the year, by the quarter. It's all the same. And the more of those numbers you know, the better. If you can sit there and spout off your daily rate, your mileage rate, your quarterly rate, and your annual income last year, then you know your numbers and you make adjustments accordingly. I also have contract freight options or can move to a company driver. I'm still exploring more options at this carrier just in case. Well, at least you got a plan B. Snowing near Eau Claire. Yep. How long you been down? This truck and life, shut up. You're in my backyard. This truck and life, I stopped by DIY and put another snake in his house. Does he hate snakes? I have another friend that absolutely is terrified of snakes. All right, that's van and reefer. Let's take out reefer. Those are the states you want to kind of hang out in. Now, hopefully, you had your weekend load already booked because they ain't going to give you leverage today for the most part. I could be wrong, but my experience has taught me in the last several weeks that Friday is a no go when it comes to leverage. Look at Arkansas's already red, so that's concerning to me because Arkansas is usually pretty good. And then flatbed. Let's look at flatbed. For you skateboarders, look at that. Green and yellow. That's not bad. And let's throw step deck in there. Step deck. Here's your step deck. Now, check this out. This is pretty interesting to me. Let's take step deck and flatbed out and put power only for you guys that couldn't find the trailer last year. Look at that. Power only demand. Look at Massachusetts lighting up. Hey, look at me over here. Indiana will always be green on this because that's where a majority of trailer plants are that build trailers. And so you can make a good career just running new trailers. I almost wanted to go with a carrier that did nothing but that. Trailer Transit. I thought about it like eons ago. I got past. It was funny. I was on my way out of Salt Lake and I got passed on 80 by a truck because I was governed at 65. And on the back of the trailer was a Frito Lay trailer, and on the back of it said, "I drive 55 for safety." I'm like, so I get on the CB, being the smartass that I am, and say, "That's not 55." And the guy slowed down a little bit. He came over, I let him over, and he's like, "Well, let me explain what this is." And he had taken a Frito Lay trailer all the way from Indiana to California. Upon inspection, Frito Lay was like, "This ain't right, and this ain't right. Take it back." And he goes, and he started telling me about his platform. He goes, "Yeah, the rate per mile that we get is lower, but my cost per mile is a lot lower too. We're not paying. We're not wearing out the tires as much. We're not wearing. Our fuel mileage is always good. Because it's 99%. Empty trailers." I thought, man, the only thing I didn't like about it was the forced dispatch. That was it. Or else I'd be probably doing that, or at least done it for a minute. Inside joke. About a month ago, he said on his life there was a snake in his house. He was about to move. Okay. Man, I've never had a. People ask me, why don't you get a pet door? Because I'm constantly letting my pets in and out. It's like, yeah, but then the possum will come in, the raccoon will come in, the snakes will come in. I have no issues with snakes. I don't want them like tearing holes in my wall or nothing, though. I know my numbers are low because YouTube don't let me get a lot of subscribers. Don't let the subscriber number count get to you. I really don't. What's up, Bill? How's it going? Anyways, guys, I've got a truck empty. We're trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's 8:00. I've been at this for an hour. I can only stand myself to listen to myself for an hour. I'm sure you guys can too. I'm sure you guys are like, Steve, you're done, dude. You're done. Get over yourself. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Make sure you tune in to Pale Rider tonight at 8:00 if he goes live. And then look for an interview soon with me and hopefully Ratman. I have not talked to him about it yet, but he did express interest. And then anybody else who has a story, if you want me to interview you, I think we can do that. It will be at night primarily. It doesn't have to be live; it could be recorded. And I'm trying to take this channel to another level. Because I can only talk about low boards and everything, for so long before it even bores me, not just Thomas Wilson. I don't have a perfect mindset. I really don't. There's a lot of people out there that are succeeding in this market. You need to find them out and see what they're doing. And if you're struggling, maybe they help you. Let's enable the people that deserve, that put in the work that just may not know enough. Let's help those people out. And for the people that their egos have taken over and they have a failure to learn, you've done your part. It's time to move on. So, veteran goes owner op. Great story. I got excellent fistful of dollars. We can do that sometime. So, what I'll do is the email's in the description if you're interested in doing an interview, and we can do it. So, Pale Rider TV, I was just bragging on you about how you should be going live tonight and how people should tune in. Because I'm a YouTuber, I need to tell people what to do because that's what my ego says. Ha! Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Strength for today. Hope for tomorrow. I'll leave you with some. I'll leave you with some inspirational, soothing music. Peace.